Now, this person sent me their palm a very long time ago. I'm finally getting around to reading it. They are 43 years old, and that is all I know about this person, apart from what their palm is showing me. They've sent me their left and their right hand. Now, a general note on character here. The thumb itself is quite high set, and this shows this person is highly determined to prove themselves, to um, use effort and willpower to quite a great degree to carry out their plans, and to it shows a great deal of determination to push through life, through obstacles, and it's a good sign, really. But there also, the downside to it can be that it can show a little bit of sort of self-centeredness, a little bit of selfishness, and that's never, well, it's not always a bad thing anyway. Sometimes you need to be a bit selfish to push through the difficult times. The left-hand image, unfortunately not nearly as clear, shows that Jupiter and Apollo, at least, maybe it's the angle that this was taken, they do appear to be a bit more sort of leveled off. And also Mercury appears to be a lot longer on the left hand than the right. And this shows a couple of things. Firstly, Jupiter being a bit longer here shows this person has developed a greater sense of self-esteem, a greater sense of confidence now. At the same time, it appears that their childhood-related difficulties have somehow impacted their ability to communicate at the same time. So perhaps they're having uh, issues within their closer relationships, and that's evidenced by the chirology, but we'll get to that. So I wonder if this person had a poor relationship, particularly with their father. We've got a very low set Mercury amount here. There's a large gap between Saturn and Jupiter at the bases of their fingers, and this shows a clear kind of struggle or estranged or poor relationship with the father, at least, and perhaps the father was never around. Um, but we see at the beginning of the lifeline there are three sort of branches there, sort of almost a tassel at the beginnings there, and I wonder if this person had more than two, sorry, parents in a sense. Perhaps this person grew up with a grandfather or another role model in the house as well. And perhaps that third role model was necessary because the father wasn't around. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. Also, I notice quite a large bulge here on the third phalanx of Apollo. It's not a long phalanx, but it is quite pronounced here, well developed. And I feel this is someone who's quite discriminatory in taste somehow, and very analytical when it comes to taste in the literal and figurative sense. So whether that's sort of food or fashion or both, I feel like there's a discriminatory kind of nature about this person in that way. Not entirely certain why. All fingers tend to lean towards Saturn, and this shows a very logical, rational, scientific mind. And looking at the second phalanx of Mercury, it's again, this is an analytical, yes, logical, and I see some positive upward strokes there. So that's hard working. And the headline, or the mind line, if you like, reaches, curves quite nicely down into lunar. It's in a good place. It's a good length. It's a good arc. It's a creative mind. And so again, this shows a typical sort of scientific way of thinking. And this critical uh, or discriminatory kind of nature might well add to this skeptical mind, if you like, and so that might be where we're going with this. So even though I've mentioned a sort of discriminatory in sense of taste, I don't think this is a person who works in a creative or artistic field. I think this is in fact someone who's a very straightforward thinker. I mean, I have said creative, but that's because a lot of scientists are, and I think this is someone who works in some sort of scientific field. There's a strong Mercury line here. Well, it's not strong, but it's clear and clean. It rises straight, clearly from the fate line right up, touches the heart line. That's a wonderful sign. High intuition here, and that's also seen by this intuition line that works its way up onto Jupiter as well. So these are excellent signs. You don't often see sort of intuition coincide with rationality and logical way of thinking. Generally, people fall one side or the other. They're one or the other. But every now and then you find a person who has both, and that always makes for a superb scientist. Alfred Einstein, I've read his poems on my channel. He had a highly creative mind, highly intuitive mind, and this is partly why he was able to think outside of the convention and break and rewrite the rules of physics, and that's what's needed really, is to cover new ground rather than rehashing the same old. And without that ability to say what if, we will never be able to learn new things. So in terms of events in this person's life, there appears to be a period of there's an ambition here at around the age of about 17, and it rises from a place of difficulty. I think there were some family struggles, and this person said, I want to get out of this situation. And it wasn't too long after this person, around the age of about 23, 24, this person became fully independent as the lifeline draws away from the headline. And the headline at that time, this person gone through several different ways of thinking. Perspectives have changed due to dramatic life events. There's been a few of these, and I believe one is still to occur for this person, bearing in mind they're 43. I'm wondering if perhaps this person was married at about the age of 23, 24. In any case, at around the age of about 28, the perceptions appear to change, and this person is planning and working very hard for a future. And it's perhaps at this age that a family was fully formed here, and children were needed to be sort of provided for. You can see that the headline rises upwards from this time. And when a headline does this, reaches towards outer Mars, a place of planning, it shows an idea to kind of build up financial security. Think about the future in terms materialistically, at least. And then something very interesting happens. At the age of around about 38, this person's fate line is obstructed by a line that comes from Venus. Let's just be a bit clearer. It works its way from the first loyalty line we see here, and it cuts through the lifeline, the headline, and the fate line, and the heart line. And it kind of rises up onto Mercury, and it develops its own little period of learning, a skill, if you like, in itself, which is odd. So I feel like this person has learned a great deal from this event, and I think this was divorce. I think this person divorced at the age of 38, and you can see their life's purpose become stronger and change direction into a place that's more structured, hierarchical. And from this time, 38, up to around about 53, we have the career is on a good path, on a good trajectory, and I think this person's making fairly decent money. They at least gain a good sense of, there's good job satisfaction here. Perhaps money isn't great, in fact, because looking at the success line alongside the career line, because you kind of pretty much read them alongside each other in terms of timing events, notice how the success is not as strong as the career. So perhaps they feel good about their job, but they're not quite earning as much as they should be. Practically, physically, this is the right hand we're looking at. And actually, I think I'm right in saying this, because we've got here a bit of you can sort of see that forming there as well. It sort of looks like there's quite a bit of need for protection going on here from 38 onwards. So perhaps the divorce, if that's what this is, created a need for stability, for a change in their life's path towards a place that's more sort of structured and hierarchical. So perhaps they changed job as well. So interestingly, when we look for corroborating information, the lifeline shows at the age of around about 40, a bit of an ambition line here, rising up towards Saturn, and that shows a desire to achieve in career, and it's possible that this person had made headway in terms of what it is they wanted to do, and it's sort of it is affected by the divorce, but it carries on a little bit later on in a sort of different area. So I wonder if this person had to relocate, had to move house. I think everything was thrown up in the air at 38 or around about that age whenever this divorce happened. I'm pretty sure it is a divorce. In any case, this achievement does occur. It does happen for this person. And mirroring that achievement, their success, really begins after this age of, well, I'm going to say 54, 55. And it's an interesting one because at the age of around about this age, yeah, maybe 53, 54, something like that, there does appear to be conflict. And I'll make a better example. And it appears to be, for me, this is coming from sort of in between Venus and inner Mars. It could be a legal battle. It's trying, there's a threat there. There's a possibility of threatening this person's peace and stability, their income, the good in their life, everything they've worked towards. All of this is working to make that happen. So, and this is partly why the fate line directly mirrors the sun line, because we do this for this. We work hard to pay the bills, to put money on the table. So there's a threat here, a possible threat anyway, to this person's wealth. However, looking at the sun line, and this is important, there's a couple of really positive signs here. Firstly, the sun line in itself begins with this little triangle on the heart line here, and this shows support, this person's stability, and the prosperity ahead, the road of stability and prosperity is strengthened by relationships. There's a possible, it could be that this person's new partner, if they have one at all, or a family member, someone close by, is strengthening and aiding and helping this, making their future prosperity more possible. So that's a good sign in itself. Their peace and future kind of financial stability and happiness, at the very least, is strengthened. Positively, there's a strong arc there, a structure. The roots of this person's success are strong. And after this time, this possible lawsuit, this court case, potentially, success and happiness appears stronger. So I'm thinking this person has always felt that this court case is on the cards. I think this person knows that there is a legal battle ahead of them to fight, and it's weighing down on them. And I feel after this time, even if whatever the outcome, they're going to feel better about it because it's over and done with, and it's not lingering over them anymore. Well, in any case, after this time, success and financial stability appears very strong. So that's a really good sign. Even if the career isn't, making as much money, it doesn't matter because they're much happier, they're much better off after this time. So I'm thinking that actually they don't have to work as hard. They don't have to, maybe they can afford to just get a part-time job, because this looks very strong after the age of 53. So the road ahead for this person, they're 43 now, in 10 years' time, things are going to look very good for this individual. And I see this quite a bit in palmistry. This little line here, now at first I was thinking, well, this is a little sort of flick off the lifeline here. This is a desire to travel in later life, but I don't actually think that's the case. I think this is the beginning of the fate line. And when we see this, it's almost as though fate somehow crashes into the life before veering off. It's like a sort of, I don't know how to describe this, and I could be wrong, but it's like poor luck has affected this person early on, and to make up for it, the good is yet to happen for this person. So it's almost like the karmic tables are balancing out. That's what I'm thinking here. Now, this secondary loyalty line reaches down towards this intersection where this takes place. And it's sort of from this time that this mercury line reaches out from as well. So it's almost as though the bad experiences that they've had early on in life, 17, 18, have all kind of created and carved this person. They know, they have a good sense about, they know what trauma is, and so therefore they're good at seeing it in others, as an example. But more than that, fate works in mysterious ways, as does palmistry. And the loyalty line here appears to point towards the lifeline at around the age that I've mentioned, 53, 54. And so it's almost as though this misfortune, potentially, has had a direct influence at the age which this corroborates with. So again, this is perhaps a sign that karma is taking effect. The early misfortune this person suffered here will be made up for here. This is my theory. I could be wrong about this. I want to know what other people think, because I often see this sort of thing in palmistry. I see some potential kind of negativity. I mean, at first I thought this was a line of milieu, an environmental line that kind of runs alongside fate, and often the fate line and lifeline become one and the same thing in some palms. So that's what this kind of appears as. And when we see a lot of negativity, a lot of bad luck, you often see that after that there's a release of good luck. It's also almost like the tension lifts, and there's compensation. And whenever we see something negative in the palm, there's always compensation one way or another. So that's interesting for me. The other thing I wanted to point out in this person's palm was the square on the inside of the lifeline. Now, this is a sign of potential imprisonment or hospitalization. The lifeline is protected and boxed off. This person can't go anywhere during this time. And so I can't quite figure it out. It's almost as though this person's divorce, after this time, they couldn't go anywhere. Maybe it coincides with this feeling of an impending kind of legal battle over them. It's all linked in with this as well. The need for protection around this time, and this is probably why they ask for a palm reading, because they feel as though at this time they don't know where their life's going. They're stuck at the moment. They can't. They're in a bit of a catch-22, and all they can do is wait and hope that they win the battle ahead, the imminent, inevitable battle ahead. And I can say with some certainty that they will. Because this secondary loyalty line, the other thing that this represents is truth. It's a sign of truthful, the need for truth to come out. That's what it's a sign for. Often the loyalty line is a sign of, a person's devotion to their partner or their job, which I think this first one is their devotion to their first wife that they divorced. Whereas this second loyalty line is a devotion to the truth. So I'm wondering if, and I could be completely way off with all of my assumptions / predictions here, but I wonder if this person had a divorce, and following that there was the inevitable legal battle that would ensue, and it's just been dragging out for years. At 53, it will all come to light and the truth will out. And so there is goodness ahead for this person. So that's this person's palm reading. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'm intrigued to know what other people are thinking. And as I say, perhaps I've gotten this completely wrong. I'd like to know if I have, because it's only through making mistakes that we learn. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.